earlier today we had a few glitches. This is our second or third time that we're recording this, fourth or fifth.
Depends which segment we're doing.
So the reason I'm mentioning it is because I think it speaks well of the character of the guests on how much patience I received. Business owners too, and Sarah, you're a photographer, which we'll talk about, and so you kind of know the ins and outs of the exact equipment I'm using, so you get it. But all of that to say, with me today, once again, today, is Chad and Sarah Hunter. And again, what I really enjoy about this, which is no longer news to you because we've already talked about it, is Chad is a member of the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce here in Tyrone, Tyrone Area Chamber of Commerce. Sarah, as everyone knows, is one of my counterparts, my peers on the Borough Council. We're both on the council together.
Councilwoman Sarah.
Yeah, that's right. Which means under the same roof, and I love this still to this day. Chamber, council under the same roof, working together and communicating, which is always a good thing.
Yes.
And a partnership that I think is really cool, which is going to be the focus of a lot of these questions.
Yeah.
But
well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming back.
We got practice earlier.
We got a lot of practice.
There you go.
So let's dive into, because the two of you independently of each other were already dedicated to public service, already, I want to say married to the idea that if you weren't a servant leader now, that's what you want to be. And I feel like there was a dedication to that based on observation. It's like, this is what I want to be like. I want to be a servant leader to my area. I want to give back. Chad, how did that worldview get instilled inside of you? How did you get started on that path?
I mean, for me, and I mentioned this earlier, and for Sarah as well, and I'll let her talk a little bit about that. But we have great parents. Mm-hmm. We have a great family support system. We grew up watching them serve, and both of us weren't born here in Tyrone. Our parents were from here, moved to Eastern Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Phoenixville, and had us, and then uprooted us and came back here when we were young. So for me, that instilled how important relationships are, just in general. So everything that I've done in doing is founded on a basis and a foundation of relationships. And seeing my parents specifically growing up and being involved, and teachers through high school, and I wanted to be involved too. So I think just seeing some pillars in town too, like Rose and Diane, it's fun to work alongside them now and hear all the stories of the history of town and learn as well. So I think everyone should serve in some capacity.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, growing up and seeing your parents, taking on things and managing and serving, you see you also see both sides of it too, and it just kind of cultivates that desire in you to serve as well. But I think we want to leave Tyrone better than what we found it. I think that's every generation's responsibility. Yeah. To kind of pick up the gauntlet or the baton, and be like, especially when you start having kids, it changes your focus, and you're like, oh, like I really want this to be in good shape for them. Like I need to put some energy this way. This is not a perspective I grew up with. My family, I feel like is very typical, where we had a lot, not everyone, but the typical banter in the house is, well, Tyrone's not what it used to be, which is true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it also can't stay the same. It needs to grow. Yeah. What has been instilled in me lately, because we have family now, is
That's an
Delayed
ongoing conversation.
gratification.
What's that?
Delayed
Delayed
gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Totally.
did a study with kids where they had them sitting and they put like a marshmallow in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, you can have this marshmallow now, but if you wait 5 minutes, you can have 2.
Sure.
And it was very interesting to see.
That's
interesting.
important to learn.
Yeah. So I think the concept of community service being the inheritance of our children is what's been instilled lately. Is like we want to leave it, like you said, better than we found it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a part of what we leave our children.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the example we set.
yeah. So here is part of your inheritance. I may not have a bunch of wealth to give you, but what I can give you is a community that has a significant TLC put into it.
Yeah.
And it's prepped and ready for you to do the same.
Yeah.
Just like our parents did for us.
Yes, exactly
Literally
right.
what our
Yeah.
parents did for us. Yep.
How did you get your start, Sarah?
Like Chad said, our parents, my parents were very much involved in the church, community. When we were in school, my mom did so much with band, like PTO or whatever. They were always doing something. My dad coached all kinds of basketball and did all, and that is service too, But my mom never complained, and she just always was so excited, and she always put her best foot forward.
That
and
sounds
even
like her.
when people would kind of,
Yeah.
come, she never let it get her down or dissuade her from what her goal was.
I don't know her well, but that sounds like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's passionate,
Oh yeah.
and I always saw that and valued that.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that you were talking about, like the generational, like she left that for us, but we want to leave that for them too. Chad's always saying how, the generational stuff isn't always just money.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in relationships and
Our values.
and our values and the footprint we leave, right? Because this life is temporary, right? But more recently, probably within the last 15 years, I really kind of got more of a passion to do exactly what I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm.
I started working at Nittany Valley Chiropractic in 2009. And Dr. Love was very involved in the community at State College, and he still is.
Mm-hmm.
But he helped with the State Theater, was on the board for that for quite a while, helped restore the greenery in Lamont. And his daughter went to UNCW in Wilmington, North Carolina, and they were losing their track program. And he launched the Save UNCW. And I was working for him at the time, and I helped him do the website. And so I really saw if you put your effort and your love and passion to something, you really can cultivate a change. You really can,
Found some fulfillment in that too.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see happen and really kind of lit a fire under me to be like, I really, if I, you put effort into something, it really does, I got to see it in real life that way too. So, and Chad also has had multiple things with work and when you were at Panda for 10 years and,
So, let's talk about that. So let's talk about businesses because you're involved in Edward Jones.
Yeah, Edward Jones.
And you also have some rental properties. And I'm assuming you have other things you are at least thinking about getting involved in if you're not already, business-wise.
Yeah, we're always at the dinner table. We're always back and forth on different ideas and
Wouldn't this be cool
the
if this?
entrepreneurship minds. And we have a lot of friends who
Yeah.
are also like that.
So my beautiful missus has an incredible amount of patience. I think out loud. So there are times where she thinks I'm making a proposal, like we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm in mid thought, like I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But when I'm ready for a thought is like what I come to her is like, hey babe, do you trust me with money? That's what I say.
And she'll be like,
Well, she puts her phone down or she puts her book down. She goes,
I need to prepare myself.
tell me more. and that's a code word. It's like, let's sit and talk. I have an idea.
I haven't,
That is hilarious.
So it sounds like
Well-
you and I are similar in
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, we talked about
Because-
this a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Like you guys being the dreamer and we're
Yeah.
more the realists.
I mean, you should give yourself some credit. You do dream too,
Yeah.
but you're more of like, okay,
But-
how are we going to fund this?
I
Who do
think-
we get
So
to run it?
so when the realist dreams, it's a great conversation because it
It
comes
is.
to you completed.
Yeah.
You know, it's
No,
like,
it's so
here,
true.
here is what we
It's
can
so
do,
true.
and here's why we can do it, and
Yes.
here's how. You know, it's like,
Yes.
well, that's more than I give you.
Especially now that we have a baby or
Yeah.
a child, a 1-year-old,
Yeah.
Grace. I feel like it's different now. Like being the realist and like providing, I think has made me even more of a realist, and like
Yeah.
the pressure of like
Yeah.
providing for all of us and like our
Massive
future.
pressure.
Yeah, and it's all internal.
It is.
You know,
It is.
but
Yeah.
I mean that's what I'm learning. That's what I'm learning. What I'm learning is that's what makes successful people and
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
long term. And
You know, and what really was a hard lesson to learn, and I don't know if I've learned it, but you know, it's one that's crossed I used to own a cleaning business, and we grew it to such an extent that it went beyond my capability, so I sold it. But the reason it did that is because I had this lack of faith that we would be taken care of, and so I grew it to such an extent that it was killing me. You know, because I was afraid that I wouldn't provide for my employees or for my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
because I
massive
counted my employees as my kids. You know,
Of
because
course.
a lot of them
Yeah.
kind of were.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, they weren't really, but
yeah.
they felt like it.
Yeah.
Life of a business owner.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
knows
and
about.
that's not a new
Yeah.
pressure. Like most business owners have
No.
that pressure.
And a lot of
Just
people-
don't talk about it.
Yeah, will say, "Oh, I wish I could work for myself." And I understand it's kind of glamorous, but it
Yeah.
comes with in the forefront. You know, when you're
Yeah.
looking at something
Freedom.
like that,
Yeah.
freedom and flexibility.
Yeah.
Oh yes, don't get me wrong; those
That's
things
great.
are great.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pressure that comes with that too.
You know, the saying I've heard a lot of people make is, "I want to be my own boss," and
Yes.
I've owned 4 businesses in my time so far, 2 of which one of which I still own, 2 of which I've sold. One just died. That was the first one. It just fizzled.
Hey,
You
no,
know?
but you're doing
That's what they
something
say.
right.
No,
That's
yeah,
what
no.
you're
So
supposed to do.
and
Keep
you
trying.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
grow.
I no longer enjoy that statement because I've realized that whenever I thought that way, the reason the first one fizzled was that's how I thought, and I did not associate my customers as being my bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the folks that say I want to be my own boss, like, you don't understand the client relationship here.
Yeah.
You're serving them, and so you're on their,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a service.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the moment you say that, it's like, okay, the focus is still on you, which is fine. We all start that way.
Yeah.
Talk to me again whenever you're switching over to thinking about other people, because that's
Yeah.
when I'll use you.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Well,
Sarah always mentions about the back end of the blessing.
Yeah.
That we ask for the blessing, and then it comes with
Yeah.
its whole new level of
Of
questions and stresses
pressures.
and pressures and
yeah, you get blessed, but there's that back end of it where God trusts you with more,
yeah.
and it's not always glamorous.
And when He trusts
You
you with
know.
more, then
Yeah, and you know, I can't get over this. In 1 John, I've been stuck on this for a while, where it says God is love.
Book of love.
I love it.
Hmm.
Agape.
Yeah.
I've been studying it. I've been praying. I want to be a PhD
And agape.
understanding of what agape is,
Yeah.
because I feel it, because that's God's nature.
It's truly humbling.
Oh my goodness.
Super.
One of the definitions that I found, and this is in Greek language, is to work aggressively for the good of those who do not reciprocate it.
Yes. To continue to love even when
Yeah.
it's not
So when it says
received.
His kindness leads us to repentance, that's what the word kindness means in the Greek, is to work for your good.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're not receiving anything from them.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
put that in business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, okay, I am working for my customers even when they bash me,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Even when they're complaining.
even when they're complaining.
And when
And then,
they're-
Yeah,
and
feedback.
then,
That's feedback.
and then
Yes.
taking that into a counsel perspective,
Mm-hmm.
we serve you despite the fact you're smearing our name right now on social,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you deserve it.
I feel like a lot of those people though don't really understand the full picture
They-
sometimes, and
Yeah.
they're hurt. And so I always
Because hurt people end up hurting people.
Yeah, well,
Mm-hmm.
and that's you know, when people are hurting, they want other people to hurt. It's
Yeah.
very human.
It's very
And
human.
I try to have compassion as much as possible because I'm not in their I'm not in their situation. I don't know their scenario, so I always try to understand where they're coming from
Yeah.
and have a conversation. Communication is
Yeah.
the biggest thing. you
So
know?
let's talk about that. Let's talk about what motivated you to run for council, and then, of course, there's a follow-up question.
I think that, of course, like that life of like growing up with my
Yeah.
parents serving and then seeing Dr. Love do it. I think it was I was petrified, don't get me wrong, because
So am I.
yeah.
Before
Because
every
stepping
meeting.
out into the spotlight, I don't like to be in front of people. I don't prefer it. That's why I'm I chose a career where I'm behind the camera.
Well, that was intentional.
But God really pushed me, and at the time we were dating, and Chad was like, "Yeah, get it," and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, and all my family and friends were very positive about it. So I was like, "All right, well, we'll give it a whirl." I totally did not think I would have any votes at all. I didn't. I bought two.
Two yard signs.
Yeah, I just got some magnets and I bought 2 yard
2 yard
signs.
signs and maybe
Yeah.
100 magnets for cars.
And I remember because you and I ran on the same ticket,
We did.
and there were 3 seats open. You and I were like neck to neck, way up here, and then 100 to 150 votes later was everybody else, and that was a big year. I think that there was
Yeah,
7
Rob was
people,
there too.
7 or 8
Yeah, there
people
was
on
a
the
lot
ballot.
of people on the
That was
ballot.
cool.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
really competitive year.
Which is why I was like, whatever. What happens, happens. Like, God, take the wheel. Because in
Yeah.
those situations,
Yeah,
I choose not to worry and I hand it over. Now, it's not going to say that on a daily basis. I don't try to take it back, but
every
Yeah.
once in a while
Every
we need.
once in a while.
Well, Paul said, encourage each other daily. There's a reason
yeah.
for that.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
There's
It's
a
a
reason.
constant reminder that it's not mine, it's yours
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then, it's been a crazy last 4 years and eye-opening experiences, learning how things work. You get in there and think you're going to change all these things. And I mean, we have done some awesome things,
We
but
have.
at the same time, you get in there and you go, oh, that's why that hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that's
Yeah.
probably not going to.
And as a spouse, it's super frustrating to watch from the sidelines too.
Yeah.
Because we have the conversations from home, and then you guys go onto the board and like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's why nothing has passed.
Yeah.
So going into one of the questions too, it's a great lead in because you're on the chamber board as well.
Yeah.
So there are blind spots, I would assume. And over time, we found a few,
Yeah.
that the council has in regards, or the borough in general has towards the chamber and vice versa, because I was on the chamber board for a little bit. And
Yeah.
that was the case too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That dynamic,
Yeah.
I think you joined right after I got counsel, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
'Cause-
kind of intentional.
Yeah, because
Sarah was on the politics, like
Side of
community
it.
side.
you can do 2 things at once as a couple.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're one person, so one can be here, one can be here. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we really felt like it was a good place to start.
Yeah.
sure.
Because we
Yes.
talked about, one of the main things we talked about when we started dating was we wanted to serve the community.
Yeah.
So when I got elected, Chad made the decision to
Yeah, and I
Go to
was
chamber.
just starting a new career as a financial advisor
with Edward Jones.
with Edward Jones, and figured, okay, the business side would be awesome for me to, interact, business after
Yeah.
hours,
yeah,
meeting with business owners in the community.
yeah.
The Tyrone Chamber has
Yeah.
business owners not just from Tyrone, like from everywhere.
The area
around
of
the
it, yeah.
area,
Yeah.
State College, Altoona,
Yeah.
All
surrounding
inclusive.
areas. So it's been really cool to build that network and work alongside with Rose and Diane and some of the other pillars that have been in leadership for
Yeah.
years.
And I can imagine the ideation between the two of you could be really fun because you have the council perspective, you have the chamber.
Yeah.
Collectively, you both know the needs
Yeah.
of both,
Yeah.
and
And
so
then communicating why sometimes there's roadblocks,
yeah,
and why some things don't happen, but then also being very happy when things do work out,
Yeah.
yeah,
and
and being grateful.
Yeah.
being very grateful.
Mhm.
And we have made change in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
By serving, and
Yeah.
if we just sat on the sidelines, then we never would know.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the modernization that the chamber has been undergoing, and the borough has been doing the same thing, which has been great. But what I like about that modernization, specifically dealing with social and engagement, which I think you're heavily involved in,
Yeah.
the community calendar that the chamber is now offering, which is massively underutilized, I think.
Super.
Yeah, and so
We don't do any advertising.
yeah,
should.
so
Facebook.
Yeah.
so every organization, every single business, as I understand it, can approach Rose, can approach Joyce or yourself, and have their events put on the calendar for
Yeah.
free. Correct?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. All
It's
of
an
our
incredible
members-
way to sync everyone's calendars.
Yeah, it's a great way to
all nonprofits.
organize and communicate at the
Yeah.
same time.
That was something that we talked about, communication.
Yeah.
was a huge gap that we needed to
Bridge.
Yeah.
And we need to be on socials
Yeah.
these days. Everyone is.
Yeah.
And a couple months ago, we started the Facebook page. We have the community calendar up, and Rose and Joyce do update those if we get emails. So people email us events@TyroneChamber.com, email us their flyers or whatever they want us to post, and we share it. We create events if we're like hosting, I think they call that.
Yeah.
If we know ahead of time enough, then we post that. So,
Yep.
I mean, that was something that really was needed, and COVID almost shuttered the chamber. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the board was so small when I joined, and not because I joined, but when I joined, I just
The
noticed
moment
that-
you joined, it all went. I'm just kidding.
No,
no,
when I
the
joined,
opposite happened.
We were
actually.
working on building it back up, and that's
Right.
from my understanding what Rose and Diane were telling me at the beginning. And then, now we have almost a full board again of people in town.
A whole new board, from what I understand, with the
Essentially.
exception of a few.
Yep.
I heard Diane was talking about it when she was on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the board just has a brand new, which is great, a new landscape.
Yeah.
You want that.
Yeah.
So that's why
Fresh blood.
it's been it's been slow to get initiatives restarted.
Yeah.
But now that we have almost a full board, we're really starting to do that, like with the welcome wagon, for example.
Yeah.
Sure.
Something that
That's exciting, by the
would
way.
go
That's
out
great.
to new people, new businesses coming to town. Well, we have a bunch of things donated from businesses, our members,
Yeah.
and we go introduce ourselves to the business, and they get a bunch of cool free stuff.
One of the things I was going to but offer on here is we do business highlights. I was going to offer the chamber the ability to put those in the welcome packet.
Oh, that's great.
To say, hey, a new business joins the chamber. Here's Dave's contact. He will come and do a highlight for you.
Yeah, that's
Highlight.
great.
And film. The first commercial is on us.
There we go.
Essentially.
Hub of the
That's
Highway
awesome.
highlight.
Yep.
Love that.
Love that.
Yeah. So that's an offer to the chamber we would like
Yeah.
to make.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
talk about that next
Yeah.
week at our meeting.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you like what you see. If you don't, I understand. Say no. It's no offense. I understand.
We love all the new ideas, and
Yeah.
we were talking about we're under one roof, and
Yeah.
being the chamber and being the borough. I think communication, synergy in general, just we can do better always.
So 100% agree with you. Sarah, you and I are on council.
Yes.
From your perspective, how can the council and the borough in general do better as far as communication with the chamber?
Probably having regular meetings with them. Probably having.
Because I
some
know
kind of
Ardeen
a-
and Rose have been trying to meet up.
They've
but
been
it's
trying. It's tough.
It's tough, yeah.
Especially with heavy workflows, but and of course how busy Rose is. But I don't know if there can be some kind of a form of dialogue,
Yeah.
and then more of a communication of, we want this to happen. What are our roadblocks, and how can we get around them?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And can we cultivate a plan?
And assume
Process.
Yes.
Yeah, and assume that just because we've done it this way doesn't mean it has to be done this way.
Correct. Because things are. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned, things are constantly changing, shifting,
Always.
bending.
Yeah.
Always. So because there were things that have come up when I was on this, and it was like, on this council here, or this last 4 years, that came up like years ago, but it wasn't as, it didn't pass because of A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But then there's things that come up this time, but it passes because A, B, and C are not relevant anymore. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
exactly
it's just,
right. And this, I did not know this. And for the record, and you mentioned this in the version no one will see because cameras and glitches and things. So this is not a me thought. This is a Sarah thought, just FYI. And Ann talked about this in my interview with her at Tyrone Improvement Group, that just because when we say Tyrone is not what she could be, that's not saying she hasn't always been that way. It's that there's such a different dynamic culturally today. The question becomes, is Tyrone mature for the times? Which is an important question. But then also, until you get involved, you do not fully comprehend, at least to an extent that really matters, the equation that goes into it. Like you were saying, there is an equation where an idea or a complaint comes forward. That's the easy part.
Or an internal
that's
issue.
cheap. Yeah, that's true. Do we have the technology to make it work? if we do we have the resources to pour
Do we have
into
the
it?
manpower?
And then at that point, if we have both, do we want to?
Mhm.
And then do we have the votes for that?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things like credit card capability on the meters is
Mhm.
something I pursued.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have the technology, we do not have the resources.
Yes.
The
Okay.
issue was that the satellite linkage made it impossible. It would
Oh,
attack.
really?
Yeah. So the reason I never brought it up is because I got to the price point
Mhm.
and I knew I would vote no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have
Yeah, usually when
25.
you're like, I wouldn't vote for that.
Well, 25,000 typically comes in through the meters.
Yeah.
And it would have cost almost 35 to pay for the satellite linkage.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
We would go
sense.
into debt,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have debt, but it would not be a moneymaker. It wouldn't even break even. It would be in the red. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not worth
Wouldn't be
doing.
something, and that's something maybe to talk about again down the line.
But no, that's right. And so the reason as frustrating as parking can be, it's important to bring up every once in a while because the aspects of this equation can shift. And that's why it's good to bring up again.
Yeah.
Parking as an issue was first brought up over 80 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not, and then we have ordinances to prove it. And we figured that out like in my first term at some point, because the first 3 years, that's all I worked on. And it felt like that. It was not true, but that's what it felt like. And 80 years, at that time it was 70 or so years. But every single time they ran it, that's how I figured out the equation. It's like they were running into the technology wasn't there. So they dropped it because they couldn't do it.
Mhm.
The technology was there, then they didn't have the resources. It never got to the
Ebbs and
point where they
flows.
had both. And we still are not
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
So we keep bringing it up until we do.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure the businesses appreciate the meter holidays because
Well, the businesses were the ones that requested the meters to begin with.
to keep cars flowing.
Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so
I didn't know
so
that.
the only reason the borough put them in is because the businesses asked for it,
Yeah.
which is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And then
That way the people living above don't.
exactly right. And then this Saturday enforcement not happening was the businesses coming in and asking for us not to do that. So the borough just does what the businesses want,
Yeah.
which, by the way,
Feedback.
is a friendly borough.
I love it.
But then until you're involved, you don't know that there are good people on both sides.
Oh,
And
that
you being
background.
on one side, the other people are also good too. We're trying to
Yeah.
help as best we can on all
And
fronts.
I don't know how you are, but when I hear from everyone, it's like all kinds of different opinions.
Yeah.
So and not everybody wants to come to the council meetings.
Right.
So it's like one of those situations where I have to sometimes speak on behalf of people at the council
Yep. Mhm.
meeting
Yeah,
and bring up an issue, which I have no problem doing. That's what I was elected to do.
Mhm.
But I always encourage, and I will encourage now, come to a meeting if you haven't been to one.
are public for a reason.
They're public for a reason. They're 7:00, second Monday of every month. It's just very interesting to see how everything's run, get an understanding.
Yeah, there are times, in the first term especially, when I would bring up ideas that I was going to vote no for, but I was asked to bring it up,
Yeah.
and that's why they elected me. So
Yep.
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
check it. But
Technology working.
even though I'm going to vote, this isn't a standard. It's a philosophy. Like,
Yeah.
is this really what the elected official is supposed to do? There are, and that's
Yeah.
based on opinion.
And it's tough because,
But
like,
and I agree with you. It's like I'm here to bring up what I'm being asked to bring up. I may disagree with what I'm bringing up. I may vote
Yeah.
no with what I just proposed.
that I was elected.
but I was
represent the
I was
people.
asked.
Yeah.
You
was
know, and so
asked.
let's discuss.
Communication.
Yep.
That's super important again.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay.
Something that I found pretty early on and has been proven true, and I think I've heard you say this too. So it's I feel you and a few others, like, more often than not, it's not about people when they bring up things that they complain about or things like this. It's not necessarily about them getting what they are demanding. It's that they feel heard,
Yeah.
and there's
Yes.
this
Yes.
communication and engagement that they just don't get in everyday life.
Yeah.
Yep. They feel heard, appreciated, wanted.
And even if, like, I would say probably about 80, 85, this is a guess, % of the time, even those I came back with and had an explanation, we cannot do this,
yeah.
here's why, they leave happy. It's like, yeah, we didn't get what I got done, but I know why now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's that I don't understand it, but the human nature tendency to judge prematurely without
Yeah.
connecting with the opposite side, I think is.
Yeah, communication again.
But
Falling
again, being
short.
involved in either the chamber or the council, that's what we glean from that. You know,
Yeah.
like we
Yep.
see the benefit of that.
We do.
That's the foundation that connects everything together in town.
Yep.
So, love that.
So you're not going to run again, you don't think?
I am not going to run. I was back and forth on this quite a bit
You're
the last
settling
week.
in.
Yes, and you'll ask Chad. I would talk to him about it quite a bit, and I've been praying about it. But we are in this phase of life right now. We just had our first daughter.
Yeah.
We would like to start
Gorgeous.
trying for the next, and we want to have 3, and hopefully, if God blesses us that way. But I feel God calling me, of course, to the kids, but also to the youth of Tyrone. I feel like my perspective is shifting. God is putting that burden on my heart. It's not necessarily a burden, but just a calling.
Passion, zeal.
Passion,
A lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've just been kind of letting God lead me on that. But at this point, I don't think that the council is, on that path.
Yeah.
Who knows in the future if I'll run again? I mean, I could run again,
The council's always going to be
but
there.
it's always going to be
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can serve in other areas, in other ways. And like you said, you build connections, you build
Yeah.
relationships with people.
And the enrichment that you'll be able to take to any other position you have because of your
Mhm.
time on council, you know how things function, you know how it
Yes.
works, you know who to contact.
exactly.
That is an incredible asset to bring,
Yeah.
Super.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really great.
So as bittersweet as it is, because it was tough, because
Oh my.
I have enjoyed it, getting to meet everybody, and
Yeah.
there's been positives and negatives of it,
Yeah.
which there is with anything,
Anything.
Oh, yeah.
that you do in life.
You learn.
But you
You
learn.
do.
Yep.
I mean, if
Learn and grow.
if everything was easy, we would never grow.
Mhm.
And that's probably the biggest, we always, like, when we hit roadblocks, we always kind of pause and go, okay, God, what do you want us to learn from this? Because we don't like get mad and kick the dirt, like, oh, come on, Lord.
Work harder.
Yeah, we're more like, okay, what do we need
Or
to
adjust, pivot.
adjust? How do we need to pivot?
Yeah.
What are we doing now that was not helpful, and how can we change it? How can we,
Right.
It's kind of
you
a
know.
refreshing perspective.
It is.
When you think about that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean there was a saying that I heard somebody say, that there's no, like, when you're in a situation like the Hebrew, they have like no wording for like end or something, because it's always
Oh.
ongoing.
Yes. Right.
Right? Your journey's ongoing.
Yeah.
And it's it's just quite refreshing to have that perspective, to always
Yeah.
say, no matter what happens, how am I going to proceed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I going to choose to grow or stay the same?
Speaking of that very culture, semi off topic, but it's relevant. When I was younger, a pastor friend of mine brought this up, and he said, what I like about the Jewish culture is their dedication to truth. And what he said was, if a leader speaks something that is not true, it is the duty of those under him to question it.
Mm-hmm.
That is not seen as being insubordinate.
Yeah.
It's not seen as being rebellious.
Yeah.
In fact, the leader will rejoice if he's proven wrong, because it has no tethering on his identity, or he's not insecure about it.
Or should rejoice.
Yeah, well, he loves it, because the goal is, it comes from the Hebrew culture, we bow our knees to truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody in the room is closer to truth if the leader is rebuked and is seen as being a true rebuke.
Yes.
And the leader is not shamed for it.
No.
Specifically
for it.
if the leader bows to truth. It's like, you're right.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room has been enriched by it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not the Greek philosophy, which is what we live under.
Yeah.
Where we need to be proven right, otherwise our identities and our securities
prove it.
are threatened.
Yes.
I am correct, dang it. But
Yeah.
the reality is, if you communicate and you're proven wrong,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you've just grown.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
It's a choice.
that culture. I love
Yeah.
studying it.
Yeah.
I really feel enriched as we dive into those things. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's no secret. It's no secret that you both are heavily involved in more than just the council and the chamber. To be involved in either means you're involved in everything.
Yeah. We get asked a lot to be involved in things.
So tell us a little bit, what all are you involved in? And do we have anything we need to keep an eye out for that's coming up?
Yeah.
Event-wise or
Yeah.
anything else?
Can we start with the race series?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, first thing that I'm thinking about is
Tyrone
the
Race
Tyrone Race
Series.
series that we're involved in. That came from a need that was left from Joshua House
Yes.
Sure.
after they left.
Mhm.
And it was Sue Greep who
Yeah, she sat down, met with us, and
the idea was born. And we do 5 or 6 races now every year. And this is our 5th year since we started this thing over as a nonprofit official. And
It's grown every year from what I've seen.
yeah, it's grown every year.
Yeah, God's been really kind.
And we have like consistent partners. The Gold Rush is coming up here on March 15th,
18th?
Saturday.
Is it 50?
A part of Irish Heritage?
Part of Irish Heritage Weekend, 15th,
Yeah.
Saturday. So they go to our website, runtrs.com, and all of our races are there. But I mean, it's been such a blessing to learn about the community and all the organizations we've benefited over the years, over the last 5 years. Like this Historical Society was our first, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it was.
This
It was.
our first benefactor for that
It
race.
was.
Yeah.
And this year's is Perfect Pause.
Yeah,
Right.
Perfect Pause is this year's. Everybody voted. And I think last year we did Camp Anderson. And we've also done Hookies, and we did Neptunes. So
Coincidentally,
backpack program.
Perfect Pause is with us next week.
Oh,
Perfect.
nice.
Yeah, she'll be in here talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Yes.
So yeah, the race series has been
It's
a
been
huge blessing. And
We have another one.
I do.
Oh, we do.
It's perfect timing.
So
okay.
now we're on our 4th train.
Yeah, so guys, the train is what it is. We're in the museum. But you were talking about the race series. What else?
Tyrone Improvement Group.
Well, for the race series, you know, it's not just us. We have a board of our friends and our families, and a lot of people serve with us.
Yes.
We are in partnership with the Adam Zook Foundation as well with that race, and that's been a really great benefit for the community as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's 5 or 6 races now, and we do the color blast in April. We have the Neptunes race in June.
Yep.
The Zook race in September.
Yep.
And then the Zombie Run with the library.
The Bookit.
And then
One
the
in
Bookit one for
Huntington.
Huntington in November. So, yeah, that's been growing, and we're always looking for new races, but you know, we try to average around 200 to 300 per race runners or participants. So.
That's the goal anyway. Tyrone Improvement Group is another one that we serve on, which you are more than welcome to come to some of the meetings if you'd like.
I would like to.
Yeah.
So
I know time's always.
My beautiful missus has been telling me that, because I mentioned I'm not going to be on council here soon, and I would like to still be involved. She's like, I figured you would be, you know. And she mentioned either TIG or Events and Promotions. Like either way, she's like, I knew you would. That's you.
Yeah.
You know. So
TIG,
it's on the radar.
Yeah, and obviously you talk to Ann, so your subscribers and everyone who watches should know.
I'm a fan of what they're
Tyrone
doing.
Improvement Group, but it's been very rewarding
Ann and Brian
process.
have done a great job.
Yeah, they have.
Thing, and
they've done a great job.
And it's growing. The volunteers, the members is growing.
The lights in the park.
Lights in the park.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
You can feel the momentum with that group.
Good golly, the
Yeah.
kids loved it.
Yeah,
It was fun.
Loved it.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Christmas in the park
And it's,
is all they still talk about that.
No.
Yeah.
it's bringing a lot of organizations
Together too.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And people that love Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
the cookie crawls.
cookie
and
crawls.
The Yule time. Well, that's Events and Promotions, but
Yes.
TIG is a part of that too.
We do the cookie
Yeah.
crawl.
Yeah.
crawl.
But the that's like the Super Bowl for me every year in Tyrone. I love that event. That's my favorite. Like the right answer to what's the best event of the year, is Irish Heritage. The right answer is that.
Yeah.
My answer is Yule time.
Yeah, I think they're both very good.
So good.
Yeah, we're super blessed and
Yeah, very
spoiled
blessed.
So spoiled.
that we have all this
Stuff
going
going
on.
on.
And if people actually knew how many people behind the scenes
Do this to
I
cultivate.
know.
this work, like they'd be like, "Whoa, I need to join." So
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
always looking for people to join. If anyone is looking,
Yep.
reach out to us. We
Which
can point you in the right direction.
You want
for
to talk about a
anything.
revival?
Yes.
The when I first joined council, this would have been 2017. There were 6 people.
Yeah.
And now there's
Wow.
like multiple new groups with like dozens of other people.
Yeah.
That are like it's grown.
You can
Yeah.
feel the momentum.
Yes.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the businesses are coming to town constantly.
And
Yeah.
and I want to be clear too. That had nothing to do with me joining council. That's just that's not what I'm saying.
For the
No.
record.
Yeah.
For the record, but also for the record, I think us joining council and when we did was a part of that movement. You know,
Yeah.
because
I would agree with that.
it was in the air. Like this is what God's doing in Tyrone, and we were just a part of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Using us.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Not one
Absolutely.
person is directly responsible on purpose.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah.
And anything
I mean,
else
we're
that
doing
we-
the Tyrone cleanup in
Yep,
April.
Tyrone cleanup.
Yeah.
The food truck festivals in May.
Have they been
June.
scheduled?
Yep.
They've been scheduled because
May,
we
June,
we
and
no we, yeah,
August.
we approved those already.
Yes.
The first-
Early, I thought. I was like, wow,
Early.
Yeah,
super
early on.
early.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we only doing 3 this year: May, June, and August. The first Saturday of each of those months.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because July, there's a lot of events, and the way the 4th lines up.
Yeah, it's
Really
not
hard.
very.
I think Tyrone City Brewing is going to be doing a food truck event when TIG is not doing theirs. Because
Oh.
July.
Okay.
yeah, so
Oh, there
they're
you
going to
go.
have an outdoor,
Perfect.
release
Awesome.
of new brews, and they're going to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Check out the community calendar.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the community calendar, we'll go ahead and post that again because you have it tagged, or not tagged, but pinned on the top of your page too.
Mhm.
So
The
go to Tyrone Area
Chamber.
Chamber of Commerce page. You'll find your
Yeah.
calendar. It's right on top.
Right
Yep.
on top. And something that people may not know, we actually just started an Airbnb in Tyrone.
Oh, you did?
We did.
Oh, okay.
Part of our Chunter Investments,
Yes.
our property management
Yeah.
company that I started in 2016-ish.
Yep.
We have a
Nice.
few rentals in Altoona, and then we just got the Airbnb
Yep.
this year.
Very nice.
Sure.
Cozy Train, we call it.
Cozy Train.
Cozy Train?
Yeah.
We
Where is it?
do. It
It's over behind
is-
Sheets on West 15th Street.
Yeah, right across from
Tammy.
Tammy and the Weiser.
Oh, really?
They keep an eye on it for us.
Nice.
No, they're
Yeah.
they're great. I mean, we've seen Tammy and Mike helping us out.
Yeah,
Shoveling.
shoveling. And,
Yeah. We're very grateful for that. And
Cute little Airbnb. Full
yeah,
house
small
by
little
itself.
2-bedroom, but we're very proud of it.
Sarah
And
was the design behind it.
I figured as much.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
We have-
If
so
it's going to
far-
be successful,
so far.
she's going to be behind the
Yes.
design of it.
Yes.
Just saying.
Oh, 100%.
Just saying.
Yeah.
what was that statement that the one guy said? If you give a woman food, she'll make you a meal. If you give her a house, she'll make you a home.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or
It's
something.
true. Women's touch. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than ours.
Yeah, 100%.
It just is.
Yeah.
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 But
I can have all the ideas and figure out how to change the layout and make it work well. And then Sarah
Yes.
comes in with the style and how it
Yeah.
feels and
So-
where to put things.
So how my wife and I work are very similar. I want to say it's similar, maybe it's, but we realized this. We've been married now in March would be 11 years. So about year 4 or 5, we realized we saw a pattern.
Yeah.
It's like, my wife knows what must be done, and I am how she gets it done.
That's not really how it works with us.
I don't think that's ours.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
No, I call Chad the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going. No, I'm just kidding.
Going and going and going.
No, you're very good at just doing, like, we went home today, like, after this, and we had lunch. We went home. He went outside and started taking lights down, and
I'm like
he just,
so systems.
We got
I
stuff
love
to do.
systems.
we got stuff
I'm
to
the
do.
process, the systems
Yeah.
behind what we do
But I think that's something you picked up also
in
from
the restaurant
in the
business.
rest. But you had that before
And
too.
I feel like that's also a great characteristic of a board member on a chamber of commerce too. Let's get this done. You
Yes,
know?
I like
it
that.
is. He does.
What's the idea phase, and then you move on to like the gathering information phase, and then you go on
Yes.
to like, okay,
Well, all right. So
Yeah.
so you're in a room filled with presumably entrepreneurial people.
yeah,
Speaking as one. Speaking, you and I are, and you are too. But
Yeah.
we're
totally.
not the realists in the room. You are.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
you know,
true.
so and my wife would be on that side of the category too. So on the chamber, because that was the case when I was on, and I was no help, because in that way, because I'm one of the dreamers. Like, hey, we could do this. What we needed and what they now have is, this is how we can do it. Here's what we need to get it done. Do you really want to do it?
Yeah, here are the steps.
Yeah.
That we need to complete.
And that's so crucial.
Yeah.
Because
It's a balance.
yeah, with that, you need both.
Yep.
Yeah.
You need both.
You need both for sure.
Yeah, there's always so many ideas flowing around.
Yeah.
So
But
many.
not enough people to do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to think, how can we do this more
How
efficiently?
can we?
Or,
Yeah. This isn't working. How can we? What do we
Can we make
need
it
to
better?
change? Can we make it?
Can
better?
we?
yeah, can we
Wouldn't
make
that
it
be good?
better?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's always
Very
the questions
much.
going through my mind.
Yep.
How
Yeah.
does this work?
Yep.
You know, I try to break
Yeah.
it up. It's like a Lego. You're like,
Yeah.
move it apart and rebuild it.
I mean, even when it comes to our kitchen, he'll walk in and he just stares at the kitchen and he's like, okay, and he'll rearrange and
That's
do his
great.
thing, and
Yeah.
it's just
I don't like junk
even
drawers.
even on like even on the basic level,
Yeah.
like he applies it. So, I guess that's
It works well for
Holy
us.
cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So please don't take this the wrong way. That's what my wife does. And so, and she's great at it,
Yeah.
where she creates systems.
Systems, yep.
And I'm grateful for that, because I need systems.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm off in the clouds somewhere talking about things that won't matter for years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but she creates the system for me to keep grounded.
yes,
Yeah. Helps
Yes.
helps our mental space.
Oh golly,
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. If I don't feel like it's organized at home, I can't go
The,
off
mo-
and do all
the
this.
most frustrating question my wife asked me recently is, "What do you want to do with the kitchen?" I was like, "Don't talk to me about that. Can you please create for me the kitchen, and I will function in it?" Like that would be great.
Well,
that.
sometimes there's height things too. Like
Oh, yeah.
we'll do
That's
things,
true.
and he'll like do, and I'm like, babe, I can't.
I can't reach it.
She has
back
like
there.
a
I have to,
step
like-
ladder now.
Oh,
for the
sure.
kitchen.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, explain to me what your thought process was behind this.
Uh,
And he'll let me know. And I was like, well, from my perspective, I can't
Yeah.
reach.
like the other day.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's way
Yes.
up there.
Like, like the other day, the refrigerator. It was like she was asking why I put something behind something
Way
else.
back
I was
in
like,
the-
oh, this is like perishable dates. is
Oh,
what I was
sure.
thinking.
Kitchen
Yeah.
man.
Like kitchen.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this
Running a
is
kitchen.
this
Yeah.
is newest. Newest is in the back. Oldest in the front. That
Yep.
way, like,
Yeah.
FIFO. First in, first
And
out.
I'm like, well, I have to fight past everything to get what I need for Grace every morning.
But expiration dates matter. Yeah.
They do.
Totally.
But I appreciate what he's doing, but it's just, I need to understand, like, what
No,
is your
understood.
thought process?
Yeah.
And I understand you had a reason behind it. What was it?
What is that reason?
Yes.
Enter the
Yes.
communication aspect,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
so central to life in general.
Yes.
This is just how my brain works in the background.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
just
I mean,
like,
it was a
without even
good,
thinking. I'm like, oh, I just.
yeah, it was a good reason, but I just needed to be
know why.
like, communicate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big question. It may not be answerable, and that's okay. Speaking about the chamber and the council, for both entities, and you can speak about it as you wish, where do you see the future? Where would you like to see the future of the chamber to go? The same thing with council. Where would you like to moving forward?
That's
What are your
great.
hopes?
Oh my gosh.
I think I'd like to see a better communication, and like we just said about setting goals and laying real real plans to get to those goals.
Yeah.
I feel like we
Actionable.
talk about stuff, but nothing ever gets done. It just kind of withers away. But we've been to so many small downtowns, and we went to Ellicottville up in New York with friends, and we've been
West-
to West Reading.
Reading.
Is that what it is?
East Reading.
East Reading.
East Reading.
Beautiful downtown. They're just doing so many things, and we
Yeah.
saw these flyers for, their chamber, what they're
Their
doing.
events.
That they're able to,
Super organized.
cultivate change through grants, through relationships, through, cultivating a group of people together.
Yeah.
So I would really like to see all these people come together. Because I think, it's for the borough and the chamber to communicate, but I think it also takes the community to step forward as well.
Yeah.
You
and
know.
how do we keep that perspective where we're not just going through the motion,
Yes.
Yeah.
but we're being
Achieving.
intentional with our time.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
intentionality is super important for us. We didn't
Yes.
even talk about it today, but like, why do we choose to do this? Why do we choose to do that?
Yeah.
With
What
the
is
chamber,
what is your why?
What is the why?
Yeah. What is your why?
With the chamber and with the borough, like, how do we make the most of our time and be intentional about
I
it?
forgot about that.
Yeah.
No, that was a huge thing for me a few years ago when I had a cleaning business and I was working COVID sprungboard into 7 counties. and it was my fault. I didn't say no. I didn't know how. Good, important lesson to learn. Know when to say no. Yeah.
I mean, we're all.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
He's been helping me.
I am learning when to say no. I'm a bit more educated now, but in the midst of the chaos, and I was so drained, I got to know my why.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
at that time, if you go back on my Facebook page, when I was dealing with that is when you saw the header being, when you know your why, anything is possible.
100%.
And it's the picture of my kids and my wife.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm doing this for them.
Yep.
You
That
know,
is our why. Yeah.
and
Leave it
that kept
better
me
than-
going.
Yep.
Yeah, I am going through this rigorous study program with my career right now, and it's a certified financial planner exam. There's only 100,000 in the country, but it's basically the doctorate of my career.
Yeah. Wow.
And over the last 7 months, it's just been
Very grueling.
grueling. But what I did, to your point, I had this one pager on all of my computer screens and at home posted on my wall above my computer screen, and it's basically my why. It's like, it's a Ted Lasso belief, you know, with a bunch of friends and family pictures around it.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
March 21st, passing the CFP exam to
Yeah.
visualize
Nice.
what I want out of it.
Nice.
And it's super important to know your why. I
Yeah.
think that's what drives us in our lowest moments
Yes.
and keeps us going, and even through the best moments, it keeps us going. So,
Yep.
Such good
100%.
advice.
yeah. I guess the end, we can kind of go into like, we are long-term thinkers.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Sustainability.
Yeah.
and the processes and that everything we talked about today flows into that.
Right.
And I talk about this with my clients all the time when we're financial planning. Have you thought about beyond your lifetime?
Yeah. Right.
And when I usually ask the question, it's like, oh my gosh, no, like I'm only thinking about the right now, or
Yeah.
retirement, having enough money saved up,
Yeah.
my goal to buy a house, or my goal to, save up an emergency fund. But when you start thinking about beyond your life and your kids, and we did talk about that a little bit earlier, but everything changes. The process changes when it becomes legacy minded instead of I use it and over my lifetime minded. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we're thinking about within all the groups that we're in and within our careers. Sarah's business with all the photos and the memories. That's lifetime, multi-lifetime, generational. We see pictures here everywhere
Yeah.
from generations ago.
Right.
So both of our careers are legacy minded, and that's how we want to approach the service aspect as well behind
Yes.
everything.
Very
Yeah.
much.
I can't get my mind off of the question of sustainability. And I want to have a community also that is growing, but is sustainably growing. Like I want it to be,
Step by step.
yes,
Yeah.
so that every step is grounded firmly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that when you have the proper ingredients is for that, right? For people
Yeah.
to come together and to
Right.
cultivate and a realist.
And a realist.
Yes, it helps.
A whole group full of them, please.
Whole group full.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so much that we could be tapping into that we're not. And I sometimes I think about that quite a bit. But I think that's what I would like to see happen, to create some scenarios to help the
Yeah.
town grow and thrive. And
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming. We made
Thank
it
you
work
for
this
having
time.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a train in a long time.
So whenever we have the new studio space set up, we'll have you back and
Sounds
to
good.
talk about probably the events that are coming up. We can talk
Yeah.
about the race series. There's a
Continue
bunch of
to-
other things.
Continue the dialogue.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And what else we're getting into?
Yeah.
It's ever changing.
It's always changing,
Don't blink.
shifting.
Don't blink. That's right.
I mean, I think everybody, including people watching now, you have those dreams that God put in your heart, that are on the back burner.
Yeah.
But you think about them all the time, right?
All the time.
And you're just, God sometimes shows you the mountaintop, but he doesn't show you the path.
Oh, that's right.
you know, and
Yeah.
I think for a lot of our big dreams and things that we really are, you know, invested in making happen, God showed us that mountaintop, but
Yeah.
we're always like, okay, God,
Yeah.
what's the path?
Exactly. We have a lot of goals that we're working on that we
Yep.
set every year consistently, and
Yep.
that we haven't accomplished yet. But
Yeah.
you know, we're step by step.
Yep.
You know, step by step,
Yeah.
Yep.
decision by decision.
Decision by
You
decision.
know, and as we're going along life, we're picking up qualities and skills and that
Experiences.
we will need to accomplish those other goals that we have.
Right. I'm going to use this as a segue to exit.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds
There's
good.
the train.
We'll talk soon, guys.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.